So we're done with the objective questions. Now let's take a look at essay questions. So past papers, essay questions, section B, let's look at some questions. 3A says, distinguish between money cost and opportunity cost, normal good and inferior good. So money cost is a cost you need to produce anything. To produce this pen, whatever you have to pay or spend is your money cost. Opportunity cost is why producing this pen, what can you not do? So if you have a chance of going to the cinema or going to your friend's house, if you choose a cinema, then you can't go to your friend's house. So the opportunity of going to the cinema, the cost is not going to your friend's house. So we have normal goods and inferior goods. Normal goods are goods that you buy more of them as your income increase, possibly like cars. And inferior goods are goods you buy less of them as your income also increases, possibly like public transport. So let's explain how the scale of preference assists the following economic groups in making efficient allocation of resources. Individual. So the scale of preference is an hierarchical order of your needs. So imagine I tell you, write 5 things you need in the order of priority. That's a scale of preference. So as an individual, what does it help you do? It helps you to get what will achieve you the most satisfaction. That's what we call utility in economics. And for firms, it helps them to produce the best good that provides them the best profit. And for government, it helps them to provide the goods that has the best welfare. So what's an economic system? It's a system that talks about production, distribution, and consumption in a society or an economy. How this is done is what an economic system is. So what is a capitalist economy and a socialist economy? That simply means capitalism is when we have more individuals owning the factors of production. Socialism is when the government owns most of the factors of production. So what would happen then in terms of aim of production? Individuals and firms will produce more in capitalism, government will produce more in socialism. For consumer sovereignty, consumer is king in capitalism, while consumer is not, the government is king in socialism. And for competition, there's higher competition in capitalism, while there is lower competition in socialism. So let's say 3 features of land as a factor of production. Land is a free gift of nature. Land is fixed in supply. Land is all natural resources we have in society. And land is immobile. If your dad buys a piece of land in Butzape, for example, he can't move that land and move it all the way to maybe Dogongada. Differentiate between sole proprietorship and partnership. So a sole proprietorship is a one-man business. So not to be maybe sexist, is also a one-woman business, a one-person business. A partnership is a business that is owned, managed, and controlled by 2 to 20 people. So let's list 4 characteristics of a partnership. Number 1 is 2 to 20 people can form a partnership. They are called partners. Number 2 is that they can come up together with the capital of the business, because that makes them have more capital than sole proprietorship. Number 3 is they can split the profit among themselves. Number 4 is partnership is not seen as a legal entity. Also, it has unlimited liability. It can borrow as much as it wants, but it has to pay back every dime. Outline 4 advantages of a public limited liability company. This is a company that is whose shares are traded publicly. So a public limited company is a company that has limited liability. So one advantage there is that they can raise capitals through shares sold to the public. Another advantage there is that they can make so much profit because they have high investment. And number 3 is that they also can sell their shares to the public to raise more capital. And number 4 is their legal entity, which means they can sue and be sued. And that even gives the investors rest of mind. So let's define location of industry. Where we locate an industry, that is where a firm chooses to locate their company or their headquarters or their branch. That's what we call location of industry. And we have explained how the following factors influence where firms are situated or sited. Raw materials, of course. As a firm, you want to situate yourself close to where you can access raw materials. If you are a furniture company, you want to be very close to where trees are, or a wood company is. Also, market, where you sell your commodity. If you're a furniture company, you want to be in a residential environment where you can easily display your furniture, people can buy it. And for government policy, sometimes government gives certain regulations that certain industry must be in a particular place. Sometimes you find out that we have a lot of industries or firms situated in one particular place. Sometimes it's not by design, it's not by personal interest, it might be government regulation, government law saying you must all stay here. Outline 3 advantages of localization of industry. So which means, why would government ask firms to stay in one spot? Many reasons. Number one, because of research, because of collaborations between these firms, because of sometimes because of pollution, because government might want to situate them out of a residential environment. So there are many reasons why government would want to localize an industry. Define gross domestic products. From the word gross means total, domestic means within a country, and product means a good. So the total volume in terms of value of the goods and services that is produced within a country within 1 year, within a period of time, usually 1 year. Describe the output approach as a method of computing national income. So when you're computing national income, we have 3 approaches we can use. We have the output approach, we have the income approach, and we have the expenditure approach. In this case, we're talking about the output approach, which means what we have produced. Output means in terms of production. So if I produce this, if in this country we produce 50 of these black pens or these stylus, so if we produce 50 of this, our GDP is the value of all 50. If each of them is 1,000, that means in the output approach, we've only produced 50,000 worth of goods and services, or just goods now, because we're talking about this stylus. So identify any 3 problems associated with the expenditure approach to calculating national income. Now, expenditure approach means that how much of this was sold. So how much is the value of each one? Because if this stylus is worth 1,000 and 50 were sold, that means expenditure approach means 50,000, which is similar to the output approach, talking about the ones that are produced. So what are the problems with this? Number one is double counting. We might count these products multiple times because to produce this, we need plastic, we need rubber, we need maybe possibly iron or steel. So to produce this, we might have counted rubber when it was produced, counted steel when it was produced before we even get into the stylus itself, so double counting. Also, sometimes we don't have accurate data. How do we even know, how do we government measure how many of these stylus were produced in the economy and how many of them were sold? Because we have so many people in society, how do government track everything? Also, we have inflation. The price of a stylus this year might be different from the price of it, or this month might be different from the price of it in April or in May, in June. So inflation might be a factor. Depreciation of currency can also be a factor. What is embargo? Embargo is an outright ban on a product. Imagine this is imported into Nigeria and government says, from today on, no one should import this product to Nigeria anymore. So an embargo is an outright ban on this. So outline any 3 reasons for imposing tariffs. Tariffs are the taxes on imported products. Once again, if this stylus is imported into Nigeria, on the point of importation or entering into Nigeria, we'll probably put a tax on this and say, okay, maybe this is 1,000 from America or from China. Then we can say when it gets to Nigeria, you have to pay 100 naira on each product. So why would the government impose that on the product? Number one, government wants to generate revenue from tariffs. 2, to discourage people from bringing this into the country by increasing the price. So government might impose a tariff on this. Number 3 can be that government is using this as retaliatory. Maybe our own products, maybe in Nigeria we make Ankara fabric and we sell that to China, and China put a tariff on our fabric. We can retaliate by putting a tariff on this particular stylus from China as well. So let's look at another year, 2022, section B, past papers. So let's look at the theory here. It says define limited liability. Limited liability is when a company has limits on its liability. Liability means debt, what you are owing. So if there is a limit to that, that is what we call limited liability. You can't borrow beyond a certain amount of money. You can't owe beyond this. Let's describe 4 differences between a public joint stock or a private joint stock. So we're talking about public companies and private companies. So a public company, in this case, is any company that is trading the stocks publicly, and private is selling it privately between his members, the investors. So that's one. Then public companies will always publish their accounts. Private will not do that. Public is open to everybody in society. Private is not. So 3 sources of finance for a sole proprietorship. So I'm going to talk about 3 ways your mom can finance her business. She can finance it from her personal savings. She can take a loan from a bank. She can take a loan from her friends or relatives. Or she can also take she can take investment from other businesses or reinvest her profit as well. So let's distinguish between labor force and efficiency of labor. Labor force is talking about employed and unemployed combined. Efficiency of labor is talking about how productive labor is. Describe 5 factors that determine the size of labor force in a country. The factors are population, the number of people in that society. Apart from that, what about the age group, the gender, government policies on maybe retirement age, the type of population we have, is it overpopulation or underpopulation, or is it aging population, dependent population, and independent population? So there are many factors that can determine the size of labor force in a country. Even education and training can do this. What is the demand schedule? This is a table that shows the price and quantity of goods and services. And effective demand is when you are willing to buy a product and you can buy it. So willing to buy something, I'm interested, or I love to buy a Lamborghini right now, but can I afford it? That's the question. It's not effective until I can afford it. Composite demand is for any product that has many uses, like sugar or salt has many uses. Then derived demand is a demand that you need because of something else. Like you need me not because I'm a person or a human, but you need me because you need economics. So I'm attached to economics. Using appropriate diagrams, let's show how a change in price of a commodity will affect a substitute and complement. That simply means that, let's just draw the regular demand curve quickly. That will be P, P, and Q. So if there is a change in the price of substitute, let's assume the price is going down. So if the price of a substitute is going down, or the price of substitute is increasing, it simply means, let's say this is the normal demand curve, D, and this is the price here, P. So if the price of substitute is reducing, it means people will buy less of this commodity, and therefore this will be D1. They will buy less of it. This is Q1, and this is now Q2 for a substitute. Because if the price of Milo reduces, people will buy more Milo and buy less Bonvita. So that's what happens. But for a complement, which means you need it to go together. Like if the price of petrol increases, what will happen to the sales of cars? So if you look at this now, the same thing as a demand curve. What if the price of a substitute increases? It means people will buy more of the other one. P, just P like this, and this is Q1, and this is Q2. Number 6, specific tax is a tax on every unit of a commodity. Validated tax is a tax at each stage of production. And once again, we're going to draw a diagram showing effect of an indirect tax on commodity that is inelastic and perfectly elastic. So let's draw this. First of all, let's draw what is inelastic. An inelastic demand will look like this, which means an higher change in demand in price will lead to a lower change in demand. So let us say this is supply has been S now. So what makes it inelastic is that as price increases in magnitude, let's just draw this as P1, and this is Q1. So when there's an increase in price, is that what we're supposed to do? Yes, when there's an increase in price due to tax will increase the price, and this will be P2. So what will happen to inelastic demand? It means there will be a new price, and there will be also a new supply for this, because we're dealing with the producer. So this will be the new price, and this is Q2. There's a bigger increase in price and a smaller increase in quantity demanded. And of course, in terms of taxes, wherever this cuts this around here, like this, So this is the taxes that will be borne by the consumer borne tax, and this is the tax that will be borne by the producer. This is producer borne tax. For perfectly elastic demand, the same thing happens. Draw P and Q. Perfectly elastic demand means its price is just remain the same, and we just have this as P. Price is just, sorry, this will be D. Price is just remaining the same, and demand is changing. So once again, we're going to look at a supply curve. This is our regular supply curve, which is S. So in this case, what will happen here in terms of this? Would there be an increase in price? Of course not. We don't, because price is just stable and it's going down. So we have this. There will be a change in supply. Let us draw a new supply curve because of the change right here. So this will be P, and this will be the new, let's say call it PA, and this will be Q, right? This will be Q1, and this will be Q2. So we understand this. So number 7, distinguish between a mortgage bank, a merchant bank, commercial bank, and development bank. A mortgage bank is a bank for people taking loans to build a house. A merchant bank is for investment. Commercial bank is your regular banks that allow deposits and withdrawals. And the development bank is for investment in infrastructure. And explain any functions of a commercial bank. We have many functions. They take deposits, they allow withdrawals, they keep jewelry for people, they also help people make payments, help people make transfers, and they also give out loans to people. And our final question, what is economic integration? This is when countries come together to reduce trade barriers. So there's more like free trade, promotion of trade liberalization in that congregation of countries. Outline any 3 shortcomings of the economic community of West African states. So for ECOWAS, what are the shortcomings? Political instability. We have a lot of issues with war in many countries for Africa, or toppling the government. We also have insufficient funding. So because ECOWAS needs money from all the member states, so there's not enough funding, and sometimes there's always a disparity in views on what they want to do as internal policies of these countries. And okay, what are the 3 achievements of ECOWAS? ECOWAS have been able to bring countries together to collaborate, countries to sell goods and services at cheaper amounts, even eliminating tariffs, eliminating taxes, allowing free trade, and that has helped economies to grow in terms of increasing exports between these member states. With this, we've come to the end of PrepStation Economics SSCE tutorials. I wish you success in your upcoming exams.